So, full disclaimer, I did not watch the third period of tonight's Canucks game. I had my own hockey game to attend to, which bled into the time frame of this Vancouver and Anaheim game. That's why the post-game video is coming later, but I did watch 2 periods worth of Canucks hockey that, I don't know, did it put me to sleep? Not really. The Canucks did score a goal, but that was about it. It was kind of a tough matchup. You know what I'm going to go out there and say in regards to this Canucks and Anaheim game? By the way, Vancouver wins 2-1. I didn't say that yet, but they won. This was an example of a win that you get when you just need to get wins. Heading into tonight's matchup, I was kind of saying, okay, Anaheim is not great, but the thing is, that gosh darn Lukas Dostal in net can steal you games like there's no tomorrow. He's a young goaltender. He's got all the juice in the world to be able to amp himself up. He's got that drive, and we had just seen a few nights ago Dostal completely stoning yet another Hughes brother in New Jersey. That was the 4-3 win over New Jersey, where Jack Hughes and the Devils, they got a penalty shot with 2 seconds left in the third, but Dostal, ice in his veins, is able to make the save. He didn't even make the save, he just kind of poked it away and let Jack Hughes fumble the puck. But Dostal was the reason that New Jersey lost that game. And heading into tonight's matchup, I was like, okay, the Canucks are supposed to be better than New Jersey, but I mean, look at this Anaheim team. You've got guys that can score, that do have a bunch of production this season. Frank Vatrano, you can't go out there and deny him. Ryan Strome gets hot once in a while. Alex Killorn, he's got himself some points here and there. So this is certainly a team that is capable of scoring. And with Casey DeSmith in net, you don't really know what to expect. So heading into tonight's game, I was kind of feeling a little bit anxious, but I was ultimately like, okay, the team should be riding some good vibes. Elias Pettersson just re-signed. There should be a newfound joy in that locker room. And at the end of the day, it results in a 2-1 victory. Now, I will say, the money puck deserved to win-o-meter had Vancouver winning this game at 70% versus Anaheim's 30%. The expected goals were way in Vancouver's favor, especially during that second period. There were 2 goals scored at the beginning of the game, and then 1 goal scored at the halfway mark of the second, and that was about it. That's it. Let's go over those goals real quickly. Firstly, you have yourselves just 2 minutes into the entire game, a brilliant offensive zone shift by the Vancouver Canucks. Hronek, Hughes, Hoglander. This trio gets on the board after the Vancouver Canucks cycle it around with beauty. They just pass to pass to pass, cross, okay, pass again, and it's ultimately Quinn Hughes who takes the puck on the right half boards. He shimmies down to the goal line, dangles his way through, throws it up for Hoglander, who puts it in the back of the net. It's Hoglander from Hughes and Hronek. So the Triple H line, not even really a line because it's 2 defensemen and a forward, but the Triple H line going out there with a goal to open things up. It's immediately responded, though, with the Anaheim Ducks, because you have yourselves a pretty bad opportunity where I think it was Jones who was coming in towards the goal. He tried to take a shot, but it bounced off the Vancouver Canucks guy in front and off to the side, where Alex Killorn is just streaking down. He's just going to the side. He's not really looking for an opportunity, but the puck comes right to him, and he puts it in the back of the net by Casey DeSmith. It's a low expected goal because the circumstances as to which that goal went in, just completely out of anybody's control. Casey DeSmith, that was not your fault. The puck bounced in front of a guy. Just a terrible play. But as the Canucks continued with their dominance in the first period, at one point, the shots on goal were like 17-4 Vancouver. They inevitably get one at the start of the second period, and this was coming off the tail end of a power play. They had some really good chances, but they weren't able to score, unfortunately. Afterwards, though, you have yourselves Conor Garland getting a beautiful goal, assisted by Zadorov and JT Miller. Now, Miller plays the puck up. It's Zadorov who comes in. He plays a very nice, passive, patient game as he goes over to the side, throws it out in front, and it's tipped in by Conor Garland. Just a beautiful set play. 2-1 is the score here, and that's what the score remains till the end of the hockey game. Vancouver takes this one, they take the dub, and Lukas Dostal, my goodness, he stood tall in this game with the amount of saves he was making, especially in that second period. Honestly, like, I get that I didn't necessarily watch the game per se, but still, there was so little to talk about, I feel. 5 p.m. starts, everybody's thinking about Disneyland just down the road there in the Honda Center, and we have a few interesting stories to pay attention to. I'd say that Quinn Hughes played a very solid game, which is great considering that I dropped him in fantasy like 2 days ago. Sorry, Quinn, it was kind of an inevitable decision because he wasn't producing the past few weeks, but now he's starting to get back on the board, and he's starting to look really good too. Maybe playing off against the guy that stoned his brother was incentive for him to go out there with a little bit more swagger. Podkolzin played today, and he looked like an absolute hound. There were, like, a few opportunities that I felt where Podkolzin could have taken the shot, but instead elected to pass it out in front. Maybe Arshdeep Baines syndrome, you could call that. Okay, that's a little bit too harsh on Arshdeep Baines, my apologies. But Podkolzin looked like an absolute hound today. Good to see him back in the lineup doing his thing. I thought that Phil DiGiuseppe, he had a really good chance in front in the second period, I believe it was, where he just wasn't able to get by the pad of Lukas Dostal. And this is what I mean, dude. That Dostal guy, really gosh darn good. My gosh. And then there were a few other guys that you could talk about too. Mark Friedman made his return to the lineup. He was okay. Like, not the best out there, of course. You're not really expecting the best out of a replacement-level call-up player, but he did his job. He was all right. Noah Juleson, I thought, was pretty good as well, despite the penalty that he took. Definitely not ideal, but the Canucks were still able to kill it off. Power plays in this one, Vancouver went 0 for 2, Anaheim went 0 for 1, so not really too many whistles in this one, which is okay. But all in all, just the kind of win that Vancouver needs to hopefully get things back on track. If you head over to the NHL standings, they are now back to second overall in the NHL, behind now the Florida Panthers, who have 86 points. The Canucks have 85, followed up by the Rangers and the Bruins, who have 84. Vancouver, though, has the most games played out of all of them, and in terms of points percentage, they are 5th overall in the league. So the losing streak definitely did set the Canucks back a little bit, especially with the Rangers, the Jets, and the Panthers winning a whole bunch of games in a row themselves. So ultimately, the standings race, the President's Trophy race, if you want to call it, it's still there. It's still an option for Vancouver, but at this rate, I think it's a little bit more likely that they need just to start stringing together wins and confidence before starting to think about getting back in that race and trying to win the entire President's Trophy. So Canucks fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the team beating the Anaheim Ducks 2-1? Vasili Podkolzin is an absolute monster. Casey DeSmith finally getting back in the dub column. Good to see that. And the team ultimately finding a way to win a difficult game where they were, for all intents and purposes, kind of getting goalied a little bit. So any extra thoughts that you wanted to share about this game? What did you think about Podkolzin's return to the lineup? I thought he played pretty well with Conor Garland. Elias Lindholm, we didn't talk about him all video, but I did see a lot of people complaining about him on social media, so we'll have to look into that a little bit more. Hopefully he's really able to, I don't know, get everything together before the playoffs, right? Because you definitely don't want to see him struggling when the games matter the most. But thoughts in the comment section about the Canucks and the Anaheim Ducks. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.